The AVO story is about giving new hope to cancer patients by providing improved solutions to physicians. In doing so, AVO is working to revolutionize radiotherapy, one of the three main cancer treatment modalities. As of today, radiation is predominantly delivered through X-rays, which use photons. Photons are highly effective at killing cancer by disrupting the DNA strand. However, they cause damage along the treatment path. A simple analogy would be to compare photons with a bullet. This results in multiple side effects, including secondary tumors. Whilst they destroy tumors in a similar way to photons, protons act differently. The proton, when accelerated, gathers energy. After this acceleration has occurred, the proton will continue its path, and most of its killing energy that has been gathered will then be released at a particular point where the proton stops. This point is called the Bragg peak, and this is where the damage of radiation will occur. For example, a proton will stop at a depth of 32 centimeters in the body if it's reached a speed of roughly 60% of the speed of light, by which point the proton has an energy of 230 MeV. A lower acceleration will result in a lower energy and a damage that is less than 32 centimeters. Returning to simple analogies, the proton acts more like a grenade. The damage is made where the proton stops. As a result, the amount of radiation delivered to the healthy tissues surrounding the tumor is reduced by up to 60%. This has many benefits, including fewer side effects and a better quality of care. The proton therapy market has accelerated significantly. Since the mid-1950s, the number of patients treated with protons has increased exponentially, particularly in the last decade. By the end of 2021, over 280,000 patients had been treated with protons. The same can be seen in the number of proton therapy centers worldwide. As of today, there are roughly 114 proton centers in operation. This rapid growth has been accompanied with a growing body of clinical evidence, which has produced around 1,000 scientific papers. Despite this growth, there remains a substantial unmet clinic need. So how do we assess this? There were over 18 million new cancer cases in 2020, and this is predicted to increase to almost 30 million cases in 2040. Today, roughly 2/3 of cancer cases in the US are treated with radiation. Assuming just half of cancer patients worldwide receive radiation would mean that 9 million patients are receiving radiation every year. This is largely done through the 15,000 X-ray machines in operation today. In that context, proton therapy still represents a small share, in fact, less than 1%. With 114 centers in just 20 countries, we estimate that only 87,000 patients can be treated with proton therapy every year. This global capacity is simply not enough, particularly when considering the benefits of protons. This raises a few questions which will be addressed in this presentation. First, why such a vast unmet need? And what does it take to address this need? What will transform the market opportunity? And how can this business deliver for all stakeholders involved, from patients to payers to AVO's shareholders? Finally, what do we expect going forward? To really understand the need, we must acknowledge two things. The first is that proton therapy systems and accelerators in use today are reaching the end of their innovation cycle. A new accelerator is critical to driving the necessary economics and medical benefits in the proton space. The second is the importance of reducing the cost for patients. As many industry experts have said, if cost was not an issue, most people would opt for proton therapy. AVO's light system, which achieved the maximum energy required to treat patients, has been explicitly designed with these in mind. These innovations don't happen overnight and are extremely challenging to replicate. Indeed, studies have shown that typical projects of this scale take an average of 15 to 20 years to develop and cost about $525 million. Proton centers have historically been associated with high costs, particularly when it comes to the bunkers required to house the accelerator. In fact, building cost can be as high as 2/3 of a project cost. This is because current cyclotrons must be dug deep in the ground and require massive shielding as well as kilometers of cables and hundreds of tons of magnets. These constraints are specific to current cyclotrons, which accelerate the protons in a circular fashion. Cyclotrons accelerate protons at 60% the speed of light to enable treatments at a depth of 32 centimeters. Where the tumor is less deep in the body, this energy must then be reduced somehow. This is achieved using absorbers, which are rotating discs positioned at the exit of the accelerator. As their name suggests, energy is reduced as the protons cross these absorbers. However, when treating superficial tumors, less than 1% of the protons end up in the patient. As a result, bunkers with large shielding must be constructed to contain the induced stray radiation. LIGHT's linear proton accelerator is designed to remove the need for absorbers. It comprises different modular structures which gradually accelerate protons to the required energy to deliver treatment at a specific depth in the patient's body, by which point no further acceleration happens. Simply put, this means no absorber is needed, and therefore the shielding requirements are considerably reduced versus cyclotrons. A further advantage of a linear accelerator is its modularity. This is key to facilitating installation and maintenance as well as reducing costs. These advantages are best illustrated when considering the Harley Street site, which is expected to house the next light system in London. This is a complex project due to the architecture of the site, and yet the building cost borne by the estate is about £10 million, a fraction of cyclotron-based projects. The design of the linear accelerator makes LIGHT ideal to address the financial needs of key stakeholders. First, the project cost is significantly reduced. This is because of the much lower shielding requirements and the modularity of the system, which gives greater flexibility when it comes to installation. LIGHT is also designed to improve the profitability for clinic operators due to increased patient throughput. This is a direct consequence of the fast energy modulation of the beam, which is set to reduce treatment time as well as the number of visits or fractions needed. Reducing the number of fractions needed is known as hyperfractionation. Take this concept further and it becomes single-dose flash, a subject that will be covered in greater detail later in this presentation. Finally, LIGHT is designed to lower operating costs, creating savings notably around installation, maintenance, and other areas surrounding patient treatment. The LIGHT system is set to tackle both cost and performance, a rare feat for a new technology. LIGHT's mini-beam is up to 10 times smaller than cyclotrons. This is key when it comes to sculpting irregular tumor shapes to deliver radiation more conformally. It's also an essential feature when treating moving targets such as lung or liver. Equally, LIGHT has been designed to deliver radiation spot by spot up to 200 times per second, about 100 times faster than cyclotrons. This fast energy modulation is another major technological advancement for treating moving tumors. LIGHT is equally capable of delivering scanned proton conformal flash. This is theoretically possible at all energies, meaning tumors could be treatable regardless of their location in the body. This greater flexibility is made possible because LIGHT does not contain any absorbers, making the system much more efficient. Finally, LIGHT can treat patients in the upright position, which holds many benefits for patients and their comfort versus alternative options available today. The next question we want to address is what has to be done to address the large unmet need. With the LIGHT accelerator now operational, AVO expects that these prohibitive cost barriers can be addressed whilst expanding the group of indications routinely treated with protons. Today, proton therapy is largely reserved for a small group of patients and indications, with cost of treatment being the main hurdle. To better assess the market opportunity, it's important to assess which cancer types get treated with conventional radiotherapy, as represented with the horizontal axis, and which cancer types currently treated with radiotherapy are ideally suited for proton therapy, as represented on the vertical axis. As of now, proton therapy is largely used for pediatric cases, CNS, head and neck and ocular tumours, with all these treatments being widely reimbursed. But there are many other indications which should be more commonly treated with proton therapy. Later in this presentation, we'll show the opportunities surrounding other indications, especially lung, liver and breast, which light is uniquely placed to address. Together, these represent a very large market with significant need. Looking at which tumour types are expected to become more routinely treated with proton therapy is essential, particularly when building business plans. On this page, we're showing an illustrative analysis where the starting point is how many patients per year must be treated to cover the fixed costs. It's about 140 per treatment room. So a centre needs 140 patients who require radiation and who have a tumour that is today widely treated with protons. The ideal target candidates for proton therapy today represent approximately 5% of all cancer cases. That means that a centre must be in an area wherein 2,800 patients are undergoing radiotherapy. Pushing this thinking further and assuming that 25 to 50% of cancer patients require radiation, we calculate that a centre must be in an area wherein 5,600 to 11,200 cancer patients are diagnosed every year. Given today's cancer incidence, that range is the equivalent of saying that a proton centre must be in a catchment area of 800,000 to 1.6 million people, which has huge limitations of feasible locations for clinics. Let's keep this number in mind because we want to see how they will change when more tumours get treated with protons. We want to look at the indications where more can be done and those that would be best tackled with protons. To do so, it's helpful to see which tumours are expected to see an increasing incidence as well as those that have low survival rates. Overall, many tumours have a 5-year survival rate above 50%. But for various reasons, certain cancers have a much lower prognosis and require much more attention. Patients with lung and liver tumours are an obvious focus for AVO, particularly because the design of light holds great promises for moving targets. Breast tumours also represent an important priority due to the size of the patient pool. Now that we've highlighted the need to do a better job in treating lung, liver and breast cancers, let's look at the catchment area needed for a proton centre to reach break-even. We said a few minutes ago that between 800,000 to 1.6 million people are needed. That number goes down significantly if protons are more commonly used to treat lung, and in fact when including lung, liver and breast tumours, the catchment area is very small, between approximately 122 to 240,000 people. As you can see from this analysis, the economic model of proton therapy is set to be completely transformed when doing more for thoracic tumours. In the next slides, we'll see more precisely why light is ideal for delivering this. Proton therapy is a very precise form of radiotherapy, and with that precision comes an extra challenge when motion is associated with the target, such as in lung and liver patients. In this example, we can see the patient motion up and down and in and out during the treatment. The target that we're trying to hit within the green contour is especially challenging in systems that are slow. We looked at the light system here in terms of its capability to rapidly deliver proton spots in any three-dimensional moving target. Now let's look at some of the results of that study. First of all, see the cyclotron-based delivery. As we move through the phases of the patient breathing cycle, you can see that the proton beam sometimes misses the tumour. That's indicated by the separation of this dash line from the ideal red curve, where the target is not getting a full dose, depending on where the target is relative to the proton beam. Now, as we look at the time-sequenced light delivery, we can notice the difference. Breast cancer is the most common kind of cancer affecting women worldwide. Up to 60% of breast cancer patients will receive radiation therapy as part of their treatment. However, radiation therapy can also result in unwanted doses to surrounding critical structures, in particular the heart. Here we see how an increase in coronary events is associated with radiotherapy for breast cancer patients. Note that there's no minimum floor to this relationship. The lower dose is always better. In this study, we looked at cardiac dose as well as other doses to critical structures from proton therapy, comparing the light proton therapy system and cyclotron systems as well as light minibeams. AVO have performed comparative treatment planning for light minibeams and cyclotrons. This has been done using different patient body types, including in upright and supine positions. Here are the results for patient 50, a female receiving partial and full breast treatment in the upright position. At the bottom, we can see the irradiation difference between the cyclotron and light-based treatment plan. The colours relate to the excess dose this patient would receive, which you can see is far greater in the cyclotron example versus light. You can also clearly see the excess dose the patient would have received from a cyclotron-based treatment to their heart and lungs. Quantitatively, the difference was substantial between light and cyclotron, with 49 centigrades versus 1,159 centigrades of dose delivered to the heart. To summarize, for these breast patient cases, the results showed the superiority of light treatments in protecting the patient's organ at risk, specifically their heart. And that was true of both the regular light system as well as the light minibeam system. The minibeam system showed another great advantage over cyclotrons. This has to do with the intrinsic light treatment quality advantages over cyclotron-based systems due to the superior light proton beam spot quality, which is preserved even at lower energies. The light minibeam option resulted in even lower doses to the organs at risk versus regular light proton therapy with similar tumour coverage. And finally, we saw a potential benefit for upright positioning of these breast cancer patients. The third question relates to the key initiatives AVO is pursuing to further transform the market. These include FLASH, the combination of light beam with immunotherapeutic agents, as well as the opportunity to use light in non-cancerous disorders. Using the FLASH effect, it may be possible to reduce the number of patient visits from 20 to 35 to 1. The FLASH effect produces the same cancer killing as regular treatments with little to no damage to healthy surrounding tissues. But high proton beam output is needed for FLASH treatments. The bottom figure compares the beam output from a cyclotron and light. As seen in the figure, light maintains maximum output at all energies, hence all locations in a patient. A cyclotron does not, rapidly falling to near zero at low energy. This limitation forces cyclotrons to deal with through beams, or so-called transmission beam, as can be seen in the immediate right figures, top for a lung case and bottom for a brain tumour case. Light, however, with its superior output performance, can treat the said cases conformally as seen far right, top and bottom. It's easy to observe that the flash light treatments are higher quality and would be expected to have superior outcomes in comparison to those of the cyclotron. Immunotherapy has been shown to have added benefits for cancer treatment. Immunotherapy uses the body's own defense system to treat the cancer. It's activated by pharmaceutical agents together with the radiation beam. Proton therapy has been shown to be more effective in this application than X-rays. The goal is to maximize the stimulation of the immune defense whilst concomitantly minimizing the damage to the beneficial lymphocytes already in circulation. Our modeling suggests that light minibeams are ideal for this purpose. The figure on the right illustrates the concept for a breast cancer patient, where the light minibeams treat the patient's primary tumor, outlined in red, and also stimulate immunotherapy through the entire breast. We're developing this treatment further with the Cleveland Clinic and are expanding to a 3D application named lattice proton therapy. At AVO, we're also preparing light treatments for non-cancerous indications. These treatments have the potential to benefit many patients and expand the commercial use of our products. These include the treatment of cardiac arrhythmias, epilepsy, age-related macular degeneration, and addiction. The figure below shows our plans for renal nerve ablation with the light system. The renal nerve controls hypertension. This treatment could especially benefit patients not responding to hypertension-controlled drugs. The figures on the right show our preclinical concept for control of the nucleus accumbens, considered to be vital in addictive behavior modification. Having reviewed the various opportunities which can be unlocked in proton therapy, and more specifically by light, how to create the right business case that will benefit all stakeholders. So the purpose of this section is to cover the business model in greater detail and outline how best to leverage the advantages of light. With the objective of democratizing proton therapy, we'll give further thought to cost optimization plans as well as the Flash initiative. When thinking about the business model, it's always interesting to see how other medical sectors have evolved, particularly those who were in a similar situation as the proton therapy market today. And there's a great precedent: the MRI market. It used to be a niche market until the 1990s, and it's now a $50 billion market. Back in the 90s, there were fewer than 10 MRI scanners per million people in the United States. Some of the reasons were the cost of the machine and the need to have purpose-built facilities. 3 drivers then completely transformed that market. Machines became cheaper and smaller thanks to the use of more powerful magnets, and in turn, the design of the new MRI machines allowed to offer leasing solutions to customers. We see the same factors driving the transformation of the proton market. Light has been designed to reduce cost for patients and payers, and more is to be done with AVO's cost optimization plan. But besides that, the modularity of the light systems means it's now possible to offer leasing solutions to customers, since the equipment can be used as security in a financing package, something that's not possible with cyclotrons, which are buried deep in the ground. In light of this precedent, we think the conventional sales model of selling proton equipment has limitations. This model is based on the sale of the machine, with proceeds typically paid in installments. The second pillar of this conventional sales model relates to servicing and maintenance. It's common that these services are charged annually at up to 10% of the selling price, typically over a long period of time, with the first year being under warranty. We believe this model has limitations for 3 reasons. Customers must provide significant upfront capital. Light has many superior benefits, as covered in this presentation, but the company is committed to democratize proton therapy and hence apply a competitive pricing. And growth prospects of AVO shall not be limited by the balance sheet of the company. So all of this means a new model must be considered in order to transform the market and leverage the technology advantages of light. And to understand the range of possibilities, it's important to highlight the economics of an operator when having a light proton center. On a run rate basis, and based on assumptions which obviously depend on the location of the site, an operator may expect to generate £13 million of revenues and £5 million of profit, assuming 300 patients are treated in a single room facility per year. Flash is really expected to change this economic profile with approximately 1,200 patients, when 20% of the time available to treat patients is used for Flash patients. With this throughput, profit is expected to increase threefold to £15 million. So as these numbers suggest, there's a rationale for AVO to partner with operators, and this is what we're going to see next. The objective of the company is to accelerate its transformation by deploying an asset-light business model. The partnership signed with Kineo is key and a good indicator of what the company aims at doing. The objective of this partnership is for AVO's financing partner to provide both funding for new machines as well as leasing solutions to customers. This is expected to be achieved by way of a financing facility between the financing partner and AVO to build the machine before this facility is getting repaid by the operator over a few years. And that model is an opportunity for customers to reduce their capital commitment, whilst in return, AVO is expected to receive a profit share or pay per patient. Based on illustrative figures, there's a value uplift from £29 million in a conventional model up to £66 million in a partnership model in case AVO receives 50% of profit of the centre. But why is this possible? It's largely due to the unique modularity of the light system, which makes financing of future machines easier since the equipment can be used as a security. Here we can see the economics of the partnership model based on an installed base of 5 3-room systems. This has been assessed under 2 scenarios, one without the impact of Flash and one assuming 20% of patients are treated with Flash. As these systems are being sold under the partnership model, no revenues are generated from sales deposits from the customers. Instead, revenues come from the operating clinic, with maintenance and license fees, together with the profit share, which is received for providing the system at no margin. The result is long-term sustainable cash flows with a greater lifetime value. There's also a clear alignment between customers and AVO to optimize systems and deliver on the promise of flash, given the clear upside available through the profit share mechanism. Based on this model, two key elements of the financial future performance are cost optimization and the timely delivery of new machines to meet the market demand. Reducing cost and manufacturing lead times are important initiatives, and these involve working closely with our partners. As one would expect with the launch of a new system, there are ample opportunities to reduce cost in the areas of design, features and functionalities, resulting in a more robust design for manufacture. With a large and diverse supply base, the opportunity is also to apply a continuous improvement model in strategic supply chain management. Finally, being able to deliver new systems as early as possible is another important success factor, and many initiatives have been identified to achieve this. 3D printing is one of them that acts at reducing costs and times, but there are many others. All these steps require a disciplined and continual lead time analysis, being able to start production early in the process, particularly for items with a long manufacturing lead time, and having the right level of inventories. And the final question is, when will this pay off in terms of patient treatment and pipeline realization? The path for certification is well proven, and it's expected to be completed whilst the order book continues to grow and accelerate. The lack of certification has limited the ability of the company to participate in a number of tender processes up to now, yet the company has already been able to establish commercial foundations for future success. This is evidenced through our commercial partnership with the London Clinic, which is important because of the location of the site in the heart of London, and also because of the reputation of the London Clinic as one of the UK's largest private charitable hospitals with a pioneering cancer treatment centre, and which has a referral arrangement with the Cleveland Clinic in London. The company has also established commercial arrangements in Cyprus and Switzerland, where work is being carried out ahead of the installation of future machines. With the current order book and a growing pipeline, a key emphasis is being placed on the execution of the plan towards first patients. With the 230 MEV milestone achieved, focus has shifted on the customer acceptance tests, a series of tests required to transfer the ownership of the machine from the supplier to the customer. The next steps are to be completed in collaboration with the University Hospital Birmingham NHS Trust, or UHB. These include the calibration of the patient positioning and imaging systems for use with protons according to the UHB protocol. This activity is standard practice, and the calibration tools have already been purchased and ready for use in Daresbury. For patient use, the Daresbury site is required to comply with cancer treatment facilities. AVO and UHB have designed the building together in compliance with current norms, and AVO will require the acceptance of the patient care space by UHB prior to use. Ethical approval is also required for patient treatment in Daresbury. The approval is provided by the UK Health Research Authority. The light system provides proton therapy, a widely used form of treatment. Therefore, ethical use challenges are not expected. The end-to-end clinical acceptance test is the final step prior to patient treatment. It spot-checks the complete performance of the light system. All of these steps will lead to the treatment of first patients in Daresbury. Importantly, during that process, we anticipate to formalize new commercial orders as the technology has now been de-risked and validated. An important step on our plan is obviously the certification process, and this needs some further explanation. As a Class 2 medical device, light will be certified as part of a 510(k) process in the US and the CE mark in Europe. The regulatory process is therefore focused on documentation and testing to ensure we're building the right system and we're building it correctly. Importantly, the use of protons for medical purposes has a long history, and so clinical studies are not needed to support the biological effect of protons. To achieve its regulatory objectives, the company can rely on a very experienced team, including the previous head of regulatory affairs at IBA and the previous head of the particle business unit of Varian. To conclude, the AVO story is a fantastic opportunity to do good and well. This story is about introducing a breakthrough technology to meet a highly unmet medical need by overcoming cost barriers and leveraging the CERN roots of the company. To do so, Avio is introducing a technology that has superior medical applications within a flexible and value-creative business model whereby the interests of all stakeholders are aligned. The deployment of this strategy is possible through the unique track record of the team and an infrastructure in place. All of these are key foundations for the delivery of a large pipeline, and ultimately for doing what's right for patients and more broadly for society.
It's been a massive effort to get us to this point, to produce the first of its kind proton accelerator for medical application. Everyone involved, thank you very much. This functioning accelerator is the fruit of our labor. We've designed, produced, and installed an entire system, starting with the proton source, the RFQ, which is a CERN design, SEDTLs, CCLs, RF, and high-power systems. And the whole assembly now accelerates the proton beam up to our maximum energy of 230 MeV.
230 MeV is what we've been aiming for. With 90 MeV we can treat eyes, 160 MeV is enough for most children, but we need 230 MeV to treat any site in the human body. We've been speaking to many institutions who are interested in light. They've been keenly interested in this milestone with a lot of anticipation. Now that we're firing full energy beam, our path to first patient is clear, so we're anticipating significant commercial traction.
230 MeV, it's critical because this is the first proton therapy medical system in the world using a linear accelerator. We will demonstrate that it is as safe as the systems already cleared and that it meets all the clinical performance and standards for the systems already on the market. Achieving 230 MeV is one step in that plan. It is a big step forward because many systems using synchrotrons and cyclotrons have already been approved since many years.
230 MeV is the maximum energy of a light system. It means millions of protons are accelerating through each individual accelerating cavities and they all work. It means we can proceed with a clinical investigation plan, we can move forward with a regulatory plan, and it will trigger greater commercial momentum. 230 MeV is important. It's about introducing a breakthrough technology to the market. It's about democratizing access to proton therapy. 230 MeV is the start of a new era for the proton therapy market and for advanced oncotherapy.